This is John Paul Rye. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. Got an article here by Peter Bradshaw, and Peter actually defends Cuties. Now here's the main problem for me, is that I'm going to say, guess what, Peter? I'll give you that argument. You're right, Peter. I didn't see the movie, and you know what? You make some good points, but we've got one problem, man. You don't explain why it's okay to use actual 11-year-old girls in the movie and have them do, as you say, grotesque sexual scenes. So, Peter, what you're doing is, you're saying, as a movie, as fantasy, as a story it's telling, it's not that bad, guys. But, using those 11-year-old girls in real life, what the hell? Why not? That's how I'm looking at it. And if I said, Peter, there's 4 problems with this movie, but I didn't see it, he'd be like, well, you're one of those trolls. And I'd be like, Peter, do you know what those 4 problems are? He'd be like, no, what do you mean 4 problems? You guys could probably tell me the 4 problems. We'll get to that later. Cuties review, Netflix controversial child exploitation film is bold, flawed, and misunderstood. Despite the increasingly toxic debate, Maimona de Clores, if I'm saying that right, Nihongo naseru kedo Fransuko ga chotto muri gomen, film and its accusers are on the same side, attacking pornification and the false promise of liberation by sexualized display of 11-year-old girls. Okay, see what we got here. Should this film be cancelled? Or, to raise a secondary point, should one see this film before taking a view on such things? You know what? I'd watch the movie if they explained why it's okay to use 11-year-old girls the way they did. And I've seen those scenes, by the way. I haven't seen none of it. But they won't explain that. Well, some of us don't give a flying frig about the message. What some of us are saying is, you actually used 11-year-old girls. It's still surprising to me, even having lived through so many controversies like this, how many people can't quite bring themselves to answer yes to the second question, or they say that watching the film simply plays into the filth merchant's hands, a sorrowing paradox I remember first encountering during the National Theatre run of the Romans in Britain. And yeah, I'm openly admitting I didn't see it, but I'm also admitting that my problem isn't with the plot or the message. My problem is what they cannot address and they cannot defend. And by the way, if they ever dared saying they had, parental permission, that's ridiculous. Because parents can't really give 11-year-old girls permission to do things like that without actually being pretty sick in the head themselves. I've got to imagine also these girls have managers, people behind the scenes giving them advice and things like that, and there must have been some kind of adult push for them to take this role, for some kind of career, for some kind of money, for something like that. Because 11-year-old girls, aren't so die-hard about exactly what roles they want or their career. They probably go along and they do it. Maybe more of them have more of an idea what they want to do, but at 11 you don't really have a great idea of what you're doing at all. I mean, I have memories from 11, but it's kind of unclear, basically, but as far as a career, as far as like things I wanted to do, as far as, getting in my underwear for millions of people to see and have hundreds and thousands and millions of my, body in that way passed around the world, not sure they understand the consequences of that. And I'm not sure adults actually told them that would happen in that way. But I guess Peter here is all cool with that. Peter here doesn't mind that actual 11-year-old girls, had this done to them. He's just concerned that trolls like me don't get the message. Okay. And by the way, they use a French name here, or not they, but, Peter uses a French name here, I think to kind of throw you off a little bit and to kind of subconsciously remind you, this is a French film, so I'm just going to say Cuties, because I probably am pretty shit at saying the French name anyway. French name or Cuties, an interesting flawed debut feature for Netflix from Fran Senglise director Maimona de Clores, finds itself at the center of the nastiest obscenity row since David Cronenberg's Crash in 1996. This is because of sequences showing a group of naive, excitable, 11-year-old girls, key point, in a dance group twerking and pouting their way through a grotesquely sexualized adult routine. There has been an ugly and abusive social media storm dominated by vicious trolls who haven't seen the film and by mischief makers jumping at the chance to embarrass those with Netflix connections, such as the Obamas? Good question. So Obama is connected to Netflix, and he hasn't, as far as I know, the news cycle happens fast, but as far as I know, he has not pitched in his opinion in any way, shape, or form. It would be nice if Obama made some kind of statement to try to mediate this situation. He has charisma. He's liked by a lot of people still, so that would be nice. The fact that Obama is silent makes me wonder just a little bit. Yet the film and its accusers turn out to be on the same side. So I'm on the same side as a director who actually used 11-year-old girls for these grotesque, as he says, sexualized scenes. I'm not on that side. I'm on the side of, if you want sexual scenes, I mean kind of like hardcore sexual scenes. Nudity is different. There's been nudity of kids throughout cinema history. If it's not sexualized, it's different. We're talking like sexualized here. If you want sexualized scenes, they should be done of legal age. That's my opinion. And if you think that they should be done with somebody 11 who's like way under, not even close, not even getting towards legal age, like completely adolescent childhood, we're not on the same page. Not about this. Where was I? Okay. Yet the film and its accusers turn out to be on the same side. Cuties attacks the pornification of girls and young women by social media and society in general. It is about the false promise of liberation in this kind of sexualized display. The offending scenes are gruesomely unwatchable, deliberately so. And they're only gruesome because of the age of the girls. Broken record here, but we gotta keep pounding it in. A final scene in which the girls present their routine at a dance competition shows people in the audience becoming baffled and disgusted, with one apparently complaining to the judges. And that happens at the end of the scene, but in the middle, they're kind of just watching it. One of the guys in the middle didn't seem like disgusted at first. He was watching it, pretty creepily. So it's not just like people like, oh my God, look at this on the stage. I guess, progressing to that towards the end, but a little bit shady in my opinion. Weirdly, the film seems to predict and preempt all the language of debate. So she knew it was going to get backlash. She predicted all that. She's a genius. When a harassed teacher tells them to stop dressing inappropriately, the cuties defiantly raise a cry for freedom as they are dragged off. And when a security guard tries ejecting them from a laser tag hole they've sneaked into, they shout, "Stop groping me, you child molester." At some level, they have a precautious sense of what's at stake, but they are as naive as children, the children they actually are, and that's why you shouldn't have used them in the stupid dance scene. Well, worse than stupid, but alright, that word just came to mind. The film doesn't entirely work. So here we go with Peter's diplomatic negativity coming in. There are untied plot strands. The film hits its ideas a bit squarely on the nose, and I wasn't sure about the supernatural moments in which the frumpy dress that Amy is given to wear by her mom seems haunted by the woman that Amy is destined to be. But it all hangs together, and the good faith with which it is presented to the audience is clear enough. A lot more good faith than Twitter and its pitchfork mob. Cuties is available on Netflix. Cancel your subscription if you have one, because books are better than movies. Doing something, making something, creating something yourself, your own product, is better than sitting there and just watching something. Especially watching something where 11-year-old girls are twerking to make a point, but while making that point, you're actually using 4 reasons not to make the movie. And the 4 reasons are, those 4 girls in that scene. Is what Peter totally misses, or doesn't want to acknowledge, is that the movie shouldn't have said it's okay to show young girls dancing this way in society and affecting these actual girls' lives who probably don't know what they're getting themselves into. So, I'll be honest, I think I've heard Peter Bradshaw before, and I'm going to start keeping a little bit better track of names of people, because I usually read articles really quick and I go through, oh, this is written by blah, blah, blah. I don't really know, but I'm going to start keeping track of them, because it's better to keep track of the history of things, because let's face it, people forget fast. I forget fast. We forget fast using the internet, so I'll keep an eye on Peter for his future interactions and thoughts and opinions on why it's a good thing to have 11-year-old girls sexualized in a movie. You guys, let me know what you think down below. Doing shoutouts, special thanks things like that. Depth First Heard, pop culture, Star Wars, whatever I feel like pretty much. If you subscribe, I'll be pretty happy. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad. But I'll get over it, because if I didn't get over it, that'd be kind of weird. See you next time.